So during gigs, I get approached a lot by younger guitarists and always asking me about my settings to get the right tone, the guitar tones in different venues. Because I'm only using a multi-effects, the Boss GT1. I also use analog pedals separately, but it really depends. For example, this weekend we played in a production gig, and there were like 6 or 7 bands who's gonna play. So you don't want to set up too long before your set, like a 10-minute setup. That's really disrespectful, to everyone. So set up for like 5 minutes or less, that's great, 10 minutes, sometimes. It depends on how many you are in the band. But me, personally, because I came from a gigging musician scene, you want to set up your gear within 5 minutes. You're all set it up, okay? So as much as you can. So that's why in some gigs I use a multi-effects pedal. But if I know that the gig has extra time to set up, so I use pedals that I like. And if I know exactly what amp is going to be used, I use my pedals or a combination of multi-effects and pedals. But in most gigs where I'm not sure what amp is going to be used in the venue, if it's a Fender, a Marshall, or some kind of Chinese amplifier, I use a multi-effects. The reason why is because it's versatile. You can set it up to whatever you're plugging in, to an amplifier, to a combo amp, even to a house, to a PA system. You can set it up and sound still good, like a guitar, But for beginners, they're like, they're having trouble. This young guy who played along with us that night, they played first. So I noticed his sound early on. He was like using a Moore multi-effects pedal, which is fine. It's just really fine. You just need to know what to use and what not to use during gigs, But it really comes to experience, because sometimes in the studio, that's an example here, in my room here, my Boss GT8 is plugged to just my desktop speaker. So when I play it, okay, it sounds epic, right? This exact sound that I have here, or settings, is not the same settings when I'm on stage, on an amp. Because the same this settings has a preamp, it has a amp simulator that simulates an amplifier, so when it comes out to your computer speakers, it will sound like it came from an amplifier, okay? Not like a robot. You see what I mean? So, but if I use the same settings on a real amplifier, it's gonna sound like a robot, like that trebly, high pitched, and that doesn't really sound good. That's where he was, and that's where I was before. When I was in high school, college, I was still trying to, experiment and learn how affects your sound. So that's where he was. And he approached me when after we played. He said, "Kuya is like an older brother, or sir, something like that. Out of respect." It was like, "Kuya, how did you get that sound of yours? What effects are you using? Was it at a GT1?" And then he said he was using a Moore. He couldn't sound the way I sound. So I said, "Well, he asked if it was the brand or the brand itself, or the effects itself." So I said, well, sometimes yes, but the Moore effects pedal, if you know how to use it on a certain in different situation, it will sound good also. It's just the way you tweak it. But here in live stage, I turn off all preamps and amp simulators and rely on the amplifier itself. At that night, we had I was using a Fender chorus, something like that. So I told him that I turn off all my preamps and and amp simulators, and start with the distortion or overdrive and a delay and some reverb. That's it. Okay, and then I start with my settings, the amplifier settings on 12 o'clock, all of them 12 o'clock, and then I tweak from there. And I try the preamp if I want, or some amp simulator if I don't like the sound. If it sounds good, yes. But probably it's gonna sound like a computer, you know, trebly robot. So I don't really use preamps or amp simulators when I'm using a real amplifier. So here's an example of this with a preamp right now. So here it's kind of, so right here it's kind of muffled a little bit in my ears, but it might sound good on the video. But that's a preamp that when I'm recording, okay, when I'm trying to record, I use preamps and amp simulators. Now here, because of my settings, this distortion overdrive is based on the rat overdrive or rat distortion. So that's why that's mainly what I use for distorted sound and guitar solos. So here's without the amplifier simulation. It still sounds good, you know. Let's turn it on. You see what I mean? So it sounds more trebly. It sounds more, here in the studio, it sounds electric. It sounds like robot a little bit. But with the preamp here in my studio, it sounds full. It came from an amp that's with mids, you know. That's about it with some reverb. Then I turn on a boost and a delay. This is what I get. And the nice thing about this is when you turn on the wah pedal. All right, that's what it sounds like with an amp simulator here in the studio. It sounds fuller here in my studio, and I'm not sure yet how it's gonna turn out in the video, but yeah, just sharing my experience that you still need, for beginners, you still need more experience trying out, experimenting, you know, spend more time experimenting with your gear. So what gear you have right now is what you need to focus on, not gears that you like in the future, just what you have right now. Experiment, turn off everything, start with the overdrive, distortion, some delay and reverb. And if you feel like you need a preamp and an amp simulator in certain situations, certain venues, especially if you're plugging to a house, to a PA, that might work. You know, that will help. Because I tried this with a PA system without an amp simulator. It sounds like robotic again, especially if the sound engineer doesn't give you what you want. It happens sometimes, you know. So that's why I use some multi-effects most of the time if I'm not sure what the gear are, what amps are, what the situation is actually. So yeah, I hope this helps you out if you're a beginner and want to start gigging electric in a band. And also comment your experience. What happened to your tone if you have a preamp or amplifier, amp simulators on and off in gigs. All right. If you have a good experience or a bad experience, yeah, send it on a comment. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.